On January 21st, just over 2 weeks ago, and just 2 days before the primary, numerous New Hampshire voters received robocalls that played a recorded message in what is believed to be an AI-generated clone of President Biden's voice. The robocalls encouraged recipients not to participate in the primary. Specifically, the message included the statement, quote, "It's important that you save your vote for the November election," end quote. And also the statement, quote, "Your vote makes a difference in November, not this Tuesday," end quote. The robocalls illegally spoofed their caller ID information to appear to come from a number belonging to a former chair of the New Hampshire Democratic Party. The recorded message also instructed recipients to call that number to ask that person to be removed from future calls. The individuals or entities who placed these calls face potential civil and criminal penalties under multiple New Hampshire laws, including New Hampshire RSA 65940, paragraph 2, which prohibits voter suppression, and also potential penalties under federal laws such as the Truth in Caller ID Act of 2009. This law prohibits anyone from transmitting inaccurate caller ID information with the intent to defraud, cause harm, or wrongly obtain anything of value. In addition, any person that knowingly facilitates the transmission of illegal robocalls may be liable under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, which is a federal statute. After we received multiple reports and complaints on the day these calls were made and the day after these calls were made, my office immediately opened an investigation. We have worked with the Anti-Robocall Multi-State Litigation Task Force, which is made up of a bipartisan coalition of 50 state attorneys general across the country, and we have also worked with the Federal Communication Commission's Enforcement Bureau. As part of our investigation, and by working with the FCC, we were able to trace the journey of a select group of these phone calls through the telecom system by using the services of the Industry Traceback Group. This is a private consortium of U.S. telecom companies that provides traceback services to the private sector and to law enforcement. Industry Traceback Group is able to trace calls from a recipient's voice provider back through each chronologically preceding network until the originating service provider and originating party for those specific calls are identified. We worked with Industry Traceback Group and requested tracebacks for a select group of these calls. After looking at these tracebacks and reviewing the information received, we have identified the source of these calls to be Life Corporation, which is a Texas-based company owned by an individual named Walter Monk. The tracebacks also identified the originating source provider as Lingo Telecom, which is a Texas-based service provider. Other entities who are not necessarily responsible for the calls, but who we believe have pertinent information, have also been identified. Based on this and other information we've collected to date, the Department of Justice, the AG Anti-Robocall Task Force, and the FCC are taking several actions today. First, at the New Hampshire Department of Justice, we have issued a cease and desist letter to Life Corporation that orders the company to immediately cease violating New Hampshire election laws. We have also opened a criminal investigation, and we are taking next steps in that investigation by sending document preservation notices and subpoenas to Life Corporation, Lingo Telecom, and any other individual or entity who we believe may have information relevant to this investigation. We will continue our work to identify and hold all individuals or companies who may be responsible for these acts accountable, and we are keeping all enforcement options on the table. Second, today the FCC has issued a cease and desist order to Lingo Telecom, demanding that it immediately stop allowing illegal robocall traffic on its platform. Further enforcement action from the FCC remains on the table pending investigation. And finally, the AG Anti-Robocall Task Force is issuing a warning letter and taking other steps to prepare for potential civil litigation against Life Corporation and any other entity involved. New Hampshire will be a co-lead in any civil action that's taken, in addition to any criminal action that we may take. I want to extend my sincere thanks to our partners at the FCC and the AG Anti-Robocall Task Force for their assistance in this investigation and all the work they have done to help us get to this point. I want to especially thank the offices of North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein, Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, and Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. This is a great example of bipartisan collaboration in response to threats to our electoral process. I would also like to thank companies Umail and Nomo Robo for their assistance in this investigation. These are two companies that help identify robocalls and collect data on illegal robocalls. They have been very helpful in enabling us to get to where we are today. Ensuring public confidence in the electoral process is vital. And in law enforcement, I can say it's one of our highest priorities. We are providing this update and information today to assure the public that we take this seriously and that this is one of our most important priorities. But we are also providing this update and information to send a strong message of deterrence to any person or entity who would attempt to undermine our elections through AI or other means. Our message is clear. Law enforcement across the country is unified on a bipartisan basis and ready to work together to combat any attempt to undermine our elections. We are committed to keeping our elections free, fair, and secure. We will not tolerate any action that seeks to undermine the integrity of our elections and our democratic process. The message to any person or company who would attempt to engage in these activities is clear, and it's simple. Don't try it. If you do, we will work together to investigate. We will work together with partners across the country to find you, and we will take any enforcement action available to us under the law. The consequences for your actions will be severe.